Trey here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're going to be checking out these red forged upper control arms by Rough Country for your 2019 and newer Silverado 1500. If you're looking to upgrade your control arms with ones that are more durable than stock and add some style points with the red coating, then these aluminum forged uppers from Rough Country could be a great fit. These control arms are designed to fit most heights and bigger wheel and tire combinations, which is going to help with the wheel articulation while you're off-roading or crawling, by making sure those tires have plenty of clearance on the rough terrain. They also feature a POM ball joint for extended range of motion and keep the correct ball joint angle and geometry of your suspension even with a lift. On top of that, they even have this slick red powder coat for some added style points behind the tire. Like I mentioned earlier, these are forged out of highly durable aluminum, meaning that the whole part is cast from one solid piece. The aluminum makes them stronger than those stock arms, and the forged construction eliminates any weak points that might occur from welding spots. The POM ball joints and bushings are made from top quality materials, and they come with grease fittings for easy maintenance and upkeep, so you can make sure they last you a long time while you're putting in those work out there on the trails. Now, talking about cost here, these arms are going to come in right around the $350 mark. While there are some cheaper options out there that utilize tubular steel with welding points, there's also definitely some more expensive options out there as well. So for this price point, as well as the upgraded solid forged aluminum construction, I believe this sits at a very nice price point. Now for the install, this is going to score 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, and it's going to take you about 3 hours to get the job done on both sides of the vehicle. Now, let's see exactly how these are going to go on your 1500 with an install video from one of our AmericanTrucks.com customers.
For the power tools, I used a 15, 18, 21, and 22 millimeter impact socket. I used a 1/2-inch drive impact, an electric ratchet, that's 3/8, and a larger 1/2-inch impact. For this job, for the hand tools, I used a grease gun. I used a 10, 15, 18, and 21 millimeter deep well socket, a 21 millimeter standard socket, a 1/2-inch breaker bar, 1/2-inch torque wrench, a 3/8 drive ratchet, 1/2-inch ratchet, 10 mil wrench, 18 mil ratcheting wrench, a 15-inch adjustable crescent wrench, a flathead screwdriver, and a hammer. I'm going to be doing an install of Rough Country control arms. Before we get going, I'm going to have to jack up the truck. My truck won't fit in my garage, it's too tall. Good idea, before jacking anything up, you chalk the back wheels. And as always, make sure you check your owner's manual to see exactly where you're supposed to jack it up. But on a 21 6.2 liter Trail Boss Custom, you want to jack it here, and then you can put the jack stands here on the frame. Next step is to remove the other side wheel. And I think that this is helpful to remove both wheels at the same time, because later in the installation, or the removal on the installation, we're going to have to adjust the sway bar. And if one side's still on the ground, there might be a little bit of torsion in it, and it makes it a little bit harder to get this end link out. So go ahead and remove the other side wheel and get that side in the air as well. Just some quick item identification here in case you hear me say it throughout the video. So we have our ABS wire bracket, we have our upper control arm, we have our tie rod, we have our sway bar, we have our shock and shock absorber housing, we have our CV axle, we have our brake caliper, we have our brake rotor, and our lower control arm. All right, so now that the front wheels are removed, we are going to remove our ABS wire bracket from our upper control arm right here. You can use a 10 millimeter socket or wrench. I'm gonna use a wrench to get it loose. Then I'm gonna use my fingers to get it out the rest of the way, just like so. Then because we are going to be replacing this upper control arm, I am going to take the bolt and put it in the new upper control arm. So this is our new Rough Country upper control arm. For the passenger side, I'm going to thread that bolt in just so I do not lose it. So the next step would be to loosen up this upper ball joint on our upper control arm with this nut right here. But before I do that, I'm going to place a jack underneath the lower control arm, just in case when this goes, it doesn't rip out and crank on my CV axle or my brake lines or any other components under here. I'm not gonna jack it up super taut, but I am gonna have it just snug, this jack snug down here. So in case this does jump down, it will have this to catch it before any damage occurs. So as you can see, I have my jack just snug on the lower control arm, just in case it does try to drop. We got something that'll catch it. Alternatively, you can run straps from somewhere on the frame underneath back to the frame to help catch it, but I chose to use a jack. Just something to be cautious with whenever you are removing this bolt from the upper control arm, is that whenever this comes free, it may swing up with some force, and if it's kind of locked in here after you get the nut off and it doesn't want to pop off, you can strike this knuckle with a hammer, kind of tap it out of there. Just make sure you don't strike the bolt. It's better to strike the knuckle. All right, next up, we're gonna get that ball joint out of the knuckle with an 18-inch socket or wrench. I'm using a ratcheting wrench. Make sure you keep your hand free of that while you're doing this, because that might happen. And then just a reminder, if this dude is really stuck in here, you hit the knuckle, get that dude out. Mine wasn't. And then this is totally optional, but I got a ratchet strap up there, holding that knuckle from rolling around while I do the sway arm and the tie rod end. My truck is kind of sitting on uneven ground here in my garage, and this is a pretty gnarly angle for my brake line, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this 10mm bolt on my knuckle, just to get this ABS wire bracket, kind of give it more room to stretch here off the middle of the knuckle. Now, if you are using a floor jack for this step, you may need to lower it down a little bit so you can get some wiggle room with the strut. All right, now it is time to remove the nuts from the upper strut. It's gonna be these guys, and if you have this plastic cover in the way, you can just kind of push it up out of the way and get access to these bolts, and we're gonna be using an 18mm ratcheting wrench for that. Helps if you have a ratcheting wrench. It's pretty hard to get a socket up in here with all this like plastic wiring harnesses and stuff. There's three, so there's one here, and then one in the very back. So flip that up, yeah. There's two, and then third one way in the back. Just be careful while you're doing this that you don't nick one of these wiring harnesses back here or start getting frustrated and ripping away at stuff. You can also come through the top. If you pop your hood and you get a extension and a U-joint on a socket, you might be able to get in there if this back one gives you too much trouble. We'll see if I can get it. Being very careful, there's a wiring harness back there to not pinch. So this back one can kind of be a pain to get, but you can kind of move some of this felt and get this plastic shroud and that wiring harness kind of tucked up out of the way. Get a good angle on it here with your 18mm ratcheting wrench going towards the back of the vehicle. Next up, we are going to remove our sway bar end link from our lower control arm using an 18mm wrench or socket. Next, we are going to carefully drop our lower control arm and remove our strut from the truck. All right, now we just need to take the strut out of here. All right, next up, we're gonna take off the upper control arm with two 21mm sockets or wrenches. May have to use a big crescent on this. We'll see. Oh, that won't fit. I don't have a 21mm wrench handy, so I'm gonna use this big crescent wrench. Oh. Don't do that. Lose it. And then same thing on the other side. Let's see if I can get my crescent wrench to fit. Sweet. Fighting with that. Move it up here. And just always be aware of any of the wiring harnesses or anything up here in the wheel well when you're working. That's enough. Is it for the removal. Time for the installation. All right, now we are going to start the installation of the Rough Country upper control arm. We're going to reuse our same hardware that we took off. May need to inquire about your torque specs for your particular application. Those threaded on, and then I'll get a wrench and a socket on them. All right, we're going to install the upper control arm. I got the bolts threaded on. To get these guys snug, and then we're going to torque them down to about 140 foot-pounds for my 2021 Chevy Trail Boss. That should be about right. As always, check your specific application for your torque specs. Once again, this is a 21mm to about 140 foot-pounds. Almost there. All right, then we'll torque down the other side to about 140 foot-pounds as well. All right, now that we're all torqued down, we're gonna go ahead and remove this cap or dust cover from the top of the control arm here very carefully to expose our Zerk fitting, and we are going to put our grease gun on the Zerk fitting. Go ahead and grease up. Our ball joint. We don't want to overdo it. Should be good. All right, so we greased up our ball joint, wiped away some of the excess, put our dust cover back on. We are good to do all the steps, but in reverse. I'm gonna be reinstalling my stock strut with a 2-inch leveling kit, so we'll have this riser up top. Might have a little bit more difficulty putting it back in if you're not doing this without a lift. Should be pretty simple. So, same as the removal, we're just gonna fish this dude up through here. Drop my control arm down a little bit more, lower control arm that is. There we go. Perfect. Now we're just gonna thread on our 18mm bolts. Nuts up top to hold the strut in place. Now, if you're not installing yours with a 2-inch riser, it'll probably be a little bit easier for you. I kind of got hung up on the control arm here a little bit. Those are threaded. We will go ahead and torque down our 18mm nuts on top of the strut here. I don't know if I'll be able to fit a torque wrench in here. They may need to be torqued down. Of course, if the one in the back gives you trouble, you can always pop the hood and put a bunch of extensions on and some U-joints to try to get at it that way. I think I got just enough room in here that it shouldn't be too hard. All right, next up, we're gonna take our sway bar end link and put it back through our lower control arm and use our 18mm socket or wrench to put the nut back on. I'm gonna jack up my lower control arm for this, help out a little bit. Alright, I had to use both hands to get that dude back on. Now we're going to torque it back down. Alright, next we're going to put our tie rod bolt or nut back on. And that's going to be a 21. Now it's time to get the upper control arm back into the knuckle here. And I have a ratchet strap going across just to kind of hold it in place for me. That's why I don't have the brake lines back on yet. I'm gonna wait till we reconnect the upper ball joint through the steering knuckle here. We may need to put the protective casing back on here as we bend the upper ball joint to get it back through the knuckle, just to protect the threads. See, we may need to reposition this to get a better angle. Jack it up a little bit. Using the frame, not the strut. Try to move this guy around a little bit. Get it at a better angle. By this guy, I mean the upper ball joint, which we seem to be at a much better angle for it to slide through. Go. Now we're very carefully going to use the new nut that came with the control arm. We're going to make sure that we have at least a couple of threads through on the bottom so you don't strip it out. I'm going to push it down while I do this. And thread the bolt or the nut onto that bolt. I can use the impact for this initially just to make sure that everything's going good. And this should be torqued down to 37 foot-pounds if you have my truck. Alright, that's about good. Alright, now we're going to take our 10mm and we're going to put back in our ABS wire that we took out earlier. So we'll start at the bottom, we'll put the sensor back in. It'll keep on moving up. And you don't really have to crank down super hard on these guys. So I'm kind of in the middle of the knuckle. And then we got the one on the back there. You put all your bolts back in after you took them out. Makes them really easy to keep track of them and to know what you got to put in next. Now after you get the top brake line back on the top of the knuckle, go ahead and do the one on your control arm and just get it snug. And after that, do your actual brake line on the knuckle, and then you will be good to go to get started on the other side. So the brake line here on the knuckles in a little bit of a gnarlier spot, a little bit easier to get to at the socket. Then you don't really have to crank down super hard on these brake lines. You wouldn't want to break them off in there. They're pretty little bolts. All right, driver's side's a little bit different. You got a couple different wires and brake lines from the passenger side. So you got one here on the control arm. Unlike the other side, it has like 4 things going to it. So we'll get that guy out of there. Then you have this bracket here on the back of the knuckle. Get that guy off of there. Easier to get to with the 10mm wrench. Uh-oh. It's backwards. There we go, lefty loosey. I'm putting the bolts back where they belong, just like I did on the other side, on the passenger side. Just that way I don't lose them. We know if we find a random bolt that doesn't have a line or something under it, we know that we missed a step. So once you get these 2 done on the knuckle, there is also one behind on this side. Move this over. There's another, this is your actual brake line here on the knuckle about midway down. You just want to be careful because there is a sensor here. It looks like you get caught pretty easy right down there. It's on the back of the knuckle, pretty much right behind your brake rotor here where your caliper comes in, right above your lower control arm. And then same thing as the passenger side. I jacked up, well, I put a jack underneath the lower control arm here on the driver's side, just in case whenever we take off this upper control arm, it drops a little bit, just to protect everything that we have. So we're gonna hit up at the top of the knuckle here on our, oh, dang, this is gonna fit. On our upper ball joint here, we're gonna get this guy off with an 18 mil. unlike on the driver's side or the passenger side, the driver's side did not want to immediately come out. So I'm gonna give it a couple. Oh, there we go. Surprised even me, dude. All right, I'm gonna go get a ratchet strap though, and same thing as I did on the passenger side, I'm gonna get this, take it around this knuckle and secure it to the frame somewhere, just that way it's not rolling around while I'm working. No, everything's the same on the driver's side. I just wanted to include this part because this upper ball joint did stick, so I did have to hit it out, but sway bar end length's the same, tie rod end is the same, the two bolts that hold in the strut are the same, and then same thing up top with the shock and all that stuff. It's all 18, those 3 bolts.
Well, that's going to do it for our review and install of these forged upper control arms in red by Rough Country for your 2019 and newer Silverado 1500. Now, for all things Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.